What is going on, people? Today we are going to talk about tone and what tone means, how to get the best tone, and how you at home can practice to get the best tone. So, number one, let's talk about this. You gotta play alone, okay? So, playing alone, what does that mean? Well, that means that when you're sitting by yourself at home, try not to, when you're learning something or you're practicing something, try not to rely on backing tracks. Well, what does that mean? Well, in jazz and in bebop culture today in 2021, people tend to use a program called iReal Pro. And what this is it's a backing track where you can have live, not live, but pre-programmed jazz drums, pre-programmed piano harmony, and bass playing behind you so you can practice these songs. Now, this is a great tool that we have in the 21st century, but what we've lost in a way is the reliability of knowing your instrument and being comfortable by yourself. What do I mean by this? Well, in the early bebop era, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, these musicians didn't have this type of technology. So what they had to do is they had to sit down by themselves alone and practice a lot of these tunes, or they would listen to recordings eventually of people playing, and they would play with those recordings. They would loop those recordings with old machines, and yes, so forth. But getting back to the point, I digress. With guitar specifically, and this goes for any instrument really, you want to be able to play by yourself and understand what that means. So jumping back to the tone, let's talk about the very first thing that you can do. When you're holding your pick, there's a method that has proved to me to be the best. And that is, you want to hold your pick as light as possible while also using the hardest attack possible. Well, what does this mean? Well, this means that when you're playing the guitar, you should be holding the pick so lightly that it could almost fall out of your hand. But in the same token, you need to be holding it and be able to attack the guitar as hard as possible. Then this generates the best tone. Now listen to it when I hold it hard. Now listen to it when I hold it soft. Here it's a lot fuller, it's a lot less harsh. So learning to do this, learning to practice this, especially by yourself, is extremely important because this will allow you to have control of not only developing good tone, but what tone you want to create. Because if you think about the guitar, you can actually create a lot of tones. That's a very bright tone. That's a lot darker and smoother. Bright. And that's not even without changing any of these knobs or any of my tone or amp settings or whatever. Just by doing that, just by switching where you're playing, you can create a lot brighter and darker tones. Now, the same goes for your pick. When you're holding the pick, if you hold it tighter, you're going to create harsher, brighter sounds. If you hold it softer, you're going to create darker, warmer, fuller sounds. And so this is now a tool that you can use in your playing to express emotional musical ideas. Okay, so the second thing, number two, you do not want to use your pinky. And what I mean by this is you do not want to be one of those guys who holds their pinky down here. Why? Because that actually builds tension in the wrist, and it doesn't allow you to move as freely with your arm and your wrist and your hands. So, watch my playing. See how I'm not holding this down here? It's really hard. It creates a lot of stress right here, and it doesn't feel good on your hand, and it limits you. Okay, so the first one, hold your pick correctly. Hold it like this. Okay, so we'll talk about this as a third part. So number one was hold your pick light, attack hard. Number two was don't use your pinky here, use it right here. Number three is when you're holding your pick, you want to keep it so that it's right here and then on your pointer finger. Now, all of this being said, if you find a method that's good for you, because I know that I will switch up methods for different playing, but if you find a method for you that's great, stick to it, use it. But this is the general sense of what is some of the best ways to generate the best tone on guitar. And this is a proven thing. If you look at a lot of musicians, a lot of extremely talented musicians, Isaiah Sharkey, if you look at Julian Lage, if you look at Mark Lettieri, all these modern guitar players, they're gonna hold their pick like this. But in some rhythm situations, I end up actually switching to my middle finger. But see, then I'm back to that. See, and that's a developed technique that I've learned. But the consensus is kind of put it right here on the edge of your pointer finger with your thumb holding it to generate the best tone. Okay, so number 1, hold your pick light, attack it hard. Number 2, don't put your pinky down. Number 3, make sure it's held in the right place with your pointer finger and your thumb. Okay, number 4, your hands. To create the cleanest, best tone, you see these metal rods attached to the fret. All you're going to want to do is try to get as close to those as possible without touching them. Because when you touch them, you hear it's muted, but when you get as close as possible, it's clear. And just to show you that a little bit clearer, muted, clear, muted, clear, muted, clear, muted, muted, clear. Get it as close to it as possible without actually going on top of it. And that goes for chords, for everything. So that was 4 ways. Number 1, hold light, attack hard. Number 2, don't put your pinky down. Number 3, hold it in the right position. Number 4, get as close to the fretboards as possible. And number 5, what we're going to talk about is a chordal thing. So this is something that you can practice if you're learning bar chords like this. What you're going to want to do is take the chord and you're going to want to play every single note on it from top to bottom without lifting your fingers. And you hear how that's clear? You don't want to hear any of this. Muted strings. That is an indicator that your left hand isn't as close to the fretboard as it needs to be. Okay, so now that we've covered all 5 of those things, let's talk about an advanced thing that you can do. An advanced thing that you can do is what we were discussing earlier with these sounds. You can actually not only hold your pick, but put your pick in the way you're playing in different areas of the guitar to create lighter, brighter, darker sounds. So listen. And this is a really helpful thing because you can generate a lot of sounds and a lot of cool colors. If you notice, so what I'm doing here is I have this big chord. It's only 4 notes. And what I'm doing is I'm playing the bass notes up here, closer to this first pickup, and then these last 2 almost right against this bridge right here. And what this is doing is creating a dark sound with a bright sound. And this is all, in total, just stuff that you can use to put into your toolkit, to use in your arsenal, to better your playing, and make you a better musician. So, as a whole, think about the way in which you're holding things, because it all accumulates to your overall sound. It doesn't necessarily have to do a lot, although it does with your amp and your pedals. It has a lot to do with the player. The best player in the world can play the crappiest guitar. And the worst player in the world can play the best guitar and it will sound bad. That's because it's all about the hands and not about the equipment. It's all about how you're generating tone, how you understand the guitar, how you understand your instrument. And this isn't just a guitar thing. This is a vocal thing. This is a saxophone thing. This is a flute thing. These are just methods and tools that you can add to your arsenal to better understand your color palettes and the expanses of your instrument. So, as a whole, don't treat your instrument as a one-trick pony. Don't just use one technique. Explore the guitar, explore your instruments, explore the way in which you're facilitating your instrument, whether or not that's playing the triggers on the saxophone, or whether or not you're playing, a harmonica and you're blowing into it. The rate in which you're blowing into it may be different. The way in which you're tuning it may be different. All these things affect not only the tone, but the way in which someone perceives your sound and your music as a whole. So, don't limit yourself to just one technique and think that's it. Expand, 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 and keep on searching for different colors and different tonal possibilities that you enjoy and that you like. So, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys enjoyed this at all, it helps me. It's completely free. All you got to do is subscribe, hit that like button, and shoot me a comment of what you would like me to teach on or talk to you about next. That helps me so much, and it allows me to make more videos like this for you guys. So thank you so much. God bless you guys. Have a great day.